Learn by Chethana. Today, we shall watch an essay called On Saying Please by AGGardiner. Alfred George Gardner was an English journalist, novelist, editor and author. He wrote under the pen name Alpha of the Plough. He is well known for his witty and insightful observations on human behavior. His work was influenced by journalism, humanism and liberalism. He is well known for his consistently classy, refined and hilarious writing style. One of his most well-known works is the collection called Pillars of Society, which includes books like Pebbles on the Shore, Many Furrows and Leaves in the Wind.
On Saying Please is a delightful essay that emphasizes the importance of politeness and manners in our daily social interactions. The article was taken from his Many Furrows collection.
The essay has four main characters: a liftman, a passenger, a bus conductor, and the author himself.
In this article, the author addresses the value of manners in contemporary culture. He uses examples from his own life to demonstrate his points. Gardner explores various situations where the absence of politeness leads to misunderstandings or strained relationships throughout the essay. One of the key points Gardner emphasizes is that politeness is not just about following rules or etiquette, but also about genuine respect and consideration for others. The author argues that polite language reflects an attitude of humility and kindness, which is essential for building meaningful relationships and fostering a sense of community. The author uses two scenarios to illustrate his points. The first one is the lift scenario, which involves the angry liftman, and the second one is the bus scenario, which involves the polite conductor. The scenario is where a passenger is ejected from an elevator because he fails to be polite. The passenger enters the lift and says,
"Top,"
instead of saying, "Top, please." The operator expects the passenger to be courteous and say, "Top, please." The passenger refuses to do so. The lift operator becomes upset. He feels insulted. The operator throws the passenger out of the lift. This simple yet powerful anecdote sets the tone for the rest of the essay, highlighting the importance of using courteous language in our everyday interactions. Is the behavior of the liftman acceptable? Although we may empathize with him, it is not appropriate because it is incorrect to punish someone with physical force. Therefore, the liftman's behavior was not authorized under the law. Although we would argue that his self-defense was justified because of the passenger's lack of consideration for others, the only harm is caused by the lift operator's conduct towards the passenger. The law will support a person who uses force only against an intruder who has perhaps broken into his home or anyone else who has assaulted him. This is true since the law forbids both robbery and violence. However, laws prohibiting disrespectful behavior are inconceivable. However, we may ask, isn't it considered weak or submissive to be polite? Gardner also addresses this misconception He says that it is an error to think that politeness is a sign of weakness or subservience. Gardner argues that on the contrary, politeness is a mark of strength and confidence. Politeness requires self-control and empathy to consider the feelings of others. By treating others with courtesy and respect, we demonstrate our own integrity and earn the respect of those around us. In Gardner's opinion, the law is correct in prohibiting us from using violence against people whose manners and speech we do not like. If we were allowed this freedom to hurt anyone with bad manners, we would constantly be hurting others or striking others. The city's drains would then run red. Thus, Gardner's essay highlights that politeness is not just a formality, but a way of showing respect and consideration for others. If the liftman had maintained a pleasant demeanor and spoken about moral principles instead of throwing the rude person out of the lift, he may have even altered how the person approached him. Overall, the story of the liftman encourages readers to be mindful of their language and to always use polite expressions like please and thank you. According to the author, the only consequence of being rude or arrogant is that other people would refer to him as rude. The law, however, would defend the rude person rather than condemn him. The pain of a kick to the shins may subside immediately, however, the pain of an insult may never subside. Gardner imagines how the liftman probably thought about the insult all day and how, after getting home, he must have taken out his rage on his wife in the evening. People who experience rudeness are quickly infected by it. The author uses an example from Sheridan's play called The Rivals to make his argument. In the play, a character called Sir Anthony Absolute abuses his son. When the son becomes irate, he complains to his servant. The angry servant then goes and kicks another servant of a lower rank. Gardner speculates that this issue may have started with a housemaid who had been rude to a cook. The cook would then have been rude to his mistress. The mistress in turn may have passed on her frustration to her husband. The husband would have ultimately passed on his anger and annoyance by being rude to the liftman. This is Gardner's best guess for the origin of the lift passengers' rude behavior. Thus, Gardner believes that lousy behavior spreads far more quickly and is more detrimental or harmful to society than the complete list of offences officially recognized as crimes by the law. It is difficult to describe all the harm that bad manners, terrible moods, facial expressions, and other factors cause to individuals. Politeness and courtesy allows us to coexist in a peaceful community. And with that, we come to the end of part 1 of the essay on saying please by A.G. Gardiner.